Hey guys, today I'm gonna show you how I remade Carnival by Kanye and Dolla ign just like this. Let's start out with looking at the growly bass that comes in at around 12 seconds into the song. For the first layer of this bass, I used a serum preset from Poppy Lee's K-pop pack, which is called Dirty. And what really makes this preset sound so aggressive is the distortion and the multiband compression in this effects section. Just listen to what happens with the edginess when I take these effects off. I mean, it loses all that rawness and all that energy. I added some distortion and some saturation with the decapitator and the shapeshifter. I also added a little bit of chorus, a little bit of OTT, and did some EQ moves to make the sound bigger and less harsh. In addition to that, I cut out all the sub frequencies and layered in this sub bass instead. Now, you may have noticed that there's a kick on the first bass note in the song, and I just added this deep kick to give the bass line a little bit more impact when it first comes in the song. Now, for the main part of the track, we have this 808. This is a 808 preset from Splice, and notice how the 808 starts by playing up the octave, but then it drops down one octave below after 4 or 8 bars, depending on whether you're counting in halftime or not. I just added a little bit of saturation with the Saturn and the decapitator, made the sound a little bit more mono, and filtered out some of that top end to make it fit better in the track. On the bass bus, I'm compressing a little bit with the LA2A, and I'm sidechaining to the kick just to avoid any clashing. As you can see, we have this growl layer in this part of the track as well, but here I'm really filtering out all the low end and the high end, and I'm just blending this in with the 808 to create a little bit more of an aggressive sound when the 808 and the drums come in. Now this layer is more of a feeling thing, and you're not really supposed to hear it that well in the track. Now for the drums, we have a bunch of pretty standard trap samples. We have a kick which I made really short and snappy to make room for the 808. And then we have a kick layer adding some texture to the main kick. Next up we have a closed hat. And open hat. A snare, an 808 clap, and then we have a second snare which sort of plays these syncopated ghost notes around the main snare. I didn't really do anything crazy with these drums. I just added a little bit of low end with a Pultec style EQ, a little bit of saturation, added some warmth with the little radiator from Sound Toys, and compressed the whole bus a couple of dB. Next, let's check out the synth lead that comes in with the 808 in the verse. This preset is also from Poppy Lee's K-pop pack, and it's called Pastor. I just felt like the preset needed a little bit more texture and vibe, so I added the RC20 for wobble, distortion, and magnetic. I also took out some high end, added some chorus to make the lead wider, and finished off with the cassette. I also layered the main sound with an octave below. and a noise layer. This makes the lead sound fuller and fills out the sound more. Now, as you can see, I bounced this first bar of the lead synth into audio, and why did I do that? Well, I wanted to recreate that glide or that tape stop effect that I heard in the original track. So I simply made a cut in the audio at the place I wanted the tape stop effect, and then I did a crossfade, and I turned that fade into a slow down in Logic. And that way the audio slows down and then speeds up again with this crossfade. On the Synth Lead bus, I just added some OTT to make the Synth Lead pop a little bit more, and I took out a lot of the low frequencies because I really don't need that stuff in this sound. Now, the last sound I haven't talked about yet is this distorted, destroyed synth. And this sound is actually an 808 played up high with this sound. It's the Jungle 808 from, again, Populist K-pop pack. I added a bunch of saturation to this sound and actually added a guitar overdrive pedal to get that crunchy and really edgy sound. Now the reason for bouncing this sound into audio is just I wanted to cut off the tail a little bit because I thought the release was a little bit too much. Now notice how this destroyed 808 plays with the second snare in the drums. These two sounds together kind of make up a fill that comes around every 4 bars, and this just makes the drum loop more natural in my opinion. Now you may be wondering, why didn't he talk about the gang vocals that that kind of part? Well, I didn't manage to remake that part, so I actually ended up using the acapella. Now, according to the internet, these vocals were actually recorded by the Inter Milan Ultras, which is a group of die-hard Italian soccer fans, and they probably just stood around one mic and recorded a bunch of takes, and that's the same thing I normally do when I record gang vocals in the studio. I get a bunch of people to sing the same section a lot of times with slightly different articulations and tones in their voice. So maybe we'll do some deeper and some and then when you blend all those together, you get this huge gang vocal sound. Now, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to check out my remakes of Greedy and Yes and if you want to learn more about how these hits are made. If you want to get the most out of watching these videos, I suggest you actually follow along and remake these tracks yourself. Because by doing this, you're going to learn a ton about which sounds fit together, how you process them, and what goes into making a professional sounding track.